Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Dustin Crace, and today we are going to do a long overdue game discussion. We're going to talk about this game right here, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. What all was it on again? There's many ways to play this game. You can play it on your Vita, you can play it on your 3DS, you can play it on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I don't know if the Metal Gear HD collection was put on the PS4 and the Xbox One yet, but I'm sure it will be eventually. But long overdue. My history with this series is that when I got my PlayStation 2, I immediately got a copy of Metal Gear Solid and got Metal Gear Solid 2 when it came out. Actually, before I got Metal Gear Solid 2, I got, was it Zone of the Enders that had the demo for Metal Gear Solid 2 in it? And anyway, I played Metal Gear Solid, loved it. Played that demo for Metal Gear Solid 2. I played that demo just nonstop. Just going through that tanker was so much fun, and I had such a blast doing it. And then when I got Metal Gear Solid 2, I think I was one of the few people at the time, which is, I have no way of knowing this because I wasn't doing YouTube at the time, but I know a couple of my friends played Metal Gear Solid 2, and they didn't like it. Mainly because the game goes off on this really wild tangent. But then I got Metal Gear Solid 3 and started playing it, and for some reason at the time, it wasn't really clicking with me. And I'm not sure why, but I got to the boss battle of the end, and then I just kind of stopped playing. And did not play for years. In fact, until I picked it up just here recently to play through it again. And the crazy thing is I continue to buy the Metal Gear games. I bought Metal Gear 4, I bought Metal Gear Ground Zeroes. I didn't buy the PSP ones, so I am working on getting those. I have Peace Walker on my Vita now, and I have a copy of Portable Ops coming in the mail. I picked this one up, Portable Ops Plus, thinking that it was just, like a enhanced version of Portable Ops. No, Portable Ops Plus is a standalone online extra missions type thing. And I bought it, and then I looked on the back and it says, in very extremely small print, this package does not contain the original Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. Very tiny print, and I just started beating the case against my head. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep it anyway because I like Metal Gear. I really do like Metal Gear, and so I'm waiting for Portable Ops to continue my Metal Gear experience because I do want to finally get around to playing the Phantom Pain, and possibly by the time I get around to playing Metal Gear 5. The price will have dropped a bit, and it won't hurt the wallet that much to pick it up. But we're not talking about Metal Gear 5. Everyone else is talking about Metal Gear 5 because they're caught up on the series. I am very far behind. I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid 3, and this is the first chronological story in the Metal Gear saga. This is where you get to see the birth of Big Boss. You play as codenamed Naked Snake, and he is sent into Russia for a mission to try to rescue this scientist. And where it goes from there, it just goes into this, as Metal Gear often does, and James Bond in a way too, which this game, because it's set in the 60s, does riff on James Bond quite a bit, even with the opening song. As these storylines go, it starts off with a very simple premise of going and rescuing this scientist, and things just snowball into this huge world-shattering event. But the thing about this story is, and what makes Snake Eater such a good storyline game, is even though you have this big world event that is going on, the world's in peril, nuclear weapons, Cold War shenanigans, all that kind of stuff. Even though you have all that stuff, this is still a very personal storyline because the connection between Snake and the character The Boss This woman is like a mother, a teacher, a lover, kind of everything wrapped up into one. So Snake has sort of this very conflicting emotion when it comes to the boss, because at one point in time, she was his entire world, basically. They lived and died together for 10 years, as he says. And now he's assigned to go take her out, because this is not really a spoiler. In the early scenes of the game, she defects from the United States and goes over to the Russian side of the Cold War, and it's up to Snake to stop this. So a very big sort of emotional game. Whereas, I didn't find, if my memory serves correct, I didn't find Metal Gear Solid or Solid 2 to be particularly emotional, but this one really does kind of bring in the emotions with Snake's storyline. You get to see sort of the birth of the infamous Big Boss. And if you're familiar with the Metal Gear storyline, you know who Big Boss is. And if you're playing Phantom Pain right now, you know who Big Boss is. But this is where you get to see the origin tale of that character. And at the end of the day, I am thoroughly, ridiculously satisfied with this storyline. I don't know what was wrong with me back in the day, but I could not put this game down. I just wanted to see what would happen next. What crazy thing would happen next? You would think with like these big earth-shattering storylines, this game would be nothing but serious all the time. I forgot how funny these Metal Gear games are. Like there's just times where something ridiculous will happen in the storyline, or with the attention to detail of the world, you'll notice like a poster or a book or something. This is set back in the 1960s, but you're going to see like PlayStation magazines and EGMs and all that kind of stuff setting around. You're going to see posters for Metal Gear Solid 2 lying around, just crazy, stupid stuff like that. It always kind of made me chuckle. There is a character that returns from the older games in a much younger form, and his character kind of uses comic relief in this, which actually really kind of works. I'm not going to say what character it is in case you haven't played this yet, so you won't get entirely spoiled, but it's nice that the first trilogy, anyway, is very tied together, even though this takes place, I think, like 40 years before the other two games in the series, or other two games that preceded it. It ties in very strongly to those older games. Talking about Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2. But yeah, storyline, the characters, the boss characters are really cool. You don't really get a real sense of history with them, I feel, especially with a character like the End, who's lived so long, and the Sorrow. You kind of get a little bit of the Sorrow story. But for the most part, like characters like the Fury and the Fear and the Pain, you don't really get a lot of backstory on them. So, a little bit more would be nice, but they're so focused on Snake and the boss and the other character and Volgin, the sort of co-villain of the piece, that it's okay to let a couple characters go by the wayside, I guess. Gameplay wise, oh man, it took me so long to get back into the Metal Gear mode, and I kind of want to keep playing Metal Gear so I don't go out of that mode. This game brought out one of my biggest pet peeves, which I guess over in Japan on the Sony systems, the circle button is the confirm button, whereas over here the X button is the confirm button. And it drives me insane when games use the circle button for the confirm button, because I'm so used to hitting the X button on PlayStation to confirm that when a game comes out and you have to use the circle button, it takes a long... I was backing out of menus all the time and I really wanted to go forward. It was really annoying, but eventually I got around to it. So now when I go to a game where I have to hit X, I'm going to be just as messed up as I was when I was first playing this. But getting back to the sort of weird mix of... It's kind of a third-person action game, but it's not like... We're so used to over-the-shoulder now with like Resident Evil 4 and all these other games, that to go back to a more bird's-eye view, overhead type game, it's really jarring. I was getting discovered by enemies left and right because I was just running around And while I knew there was a first-person perspective and you could move the camera around a little bit, it just didn't feel natural until about like, I don't know, halfway through the game. And I started getting really good at sneaking up on enemies and holding them up and getting items from them and things like that. But it took me a really long time to get back into that Metal Gear mode where instead of running in guns blazing, you basically walk around with a tranquilizer gun for a majority of the game because, I don't know, there's something weird about Metal Gear that when I play it, I hardly ever, unless I'm getting to a situation where I have to, I never want to use like a quote unquote real gun. I want to walk around with that tranquilizer gun and only use that because it makes me feel like more like a spy. And to use like a machine gun, like an AK-47, when I'm supposed to be like sneaking around, just doesn't seem right, you know. So it's one of those weird games where it really makes you play a role. And in that regard, I guess you could say Metal Gear is kind of a role-playing game because you could play the game either way. You could play it super stealthy, or you could play it guns blazing. It's really up to you. But it kind of makes you want to play the stealthy way. So I don't know. That's a debate. What makes a role playing game? Is it an actual levels and stats and all that stuff, or is it a game that actually forces you, not really forces you, but encourages you to play a certain way? And I don't know. Because when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're encouraged to play your your character, I'm blanking on the word, the alignments, you're encouraged, and sometimes you'll get penalized if you don't play your alignment. So I guess the Metal Gear series forces you to play a stealth alignment. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. But anyway, you get into a zone exploring these environments, and I remember like in the early stages of the game I wouldn't like branch out and explore a lot because I wasn't comfortable with the controls, and I was getting discovered all the time and having to fight, and but by the middle part of the game I was just full out exploring these maps, and it took me a little bit longer. Steven, the Laggy Gamer, just got done playing Metal Gear Solid 3 as well. It took me a little bit longer than it took him. I don't know how much exploration he did, but I was always looking for items and food and things like that, which really came in to help during an escort mission towards the end of the game that just, it was so annoying. But escort missions are always annoying in games. Anytime you have to like tell a character to follow you, I just get annoyed, which is probably why I've never beat Eco, but I need to go back and play Eco sometime, or Ico, however you want to say it. But yeah, you infiltrate, you're out in the woods in this one, in the jungle. And that's a big difference from the earlier games, because now camouflage and face paint and surviving off the land is much more important thing. Snake has stamina, and as his stamina stays up, his healing will stay high. So if you get like hit or you get a bullet, something like that, your health will go down, but it'll go back up as long as your stamina's high. And you raise your stamina by eating food, which you can find like packaged food around, but more often than not, you're going to be hunting, and there's plenty of game out in the jungle to kill and eat, and it's always interesting to try new foods that you find just to see like Snake's reaction to it. There's also a system in place for like broken bones and injuries and things like that, which is a lot different from the other two games that I've played. So if Snake takes a big jump off of a cliff and lands, and you'll take damage from the fall, but you also might break a bone. And if you break a bone, then Snake can't heal. It can't heal until you use these items like ointments and bandages and Stypic and suture and things like that to close up the wounds and set the wounds and things like that. So until you take care of that stuff, Snake's not going to heal back up. So it's imperative that you find these healing items and sort of keep a bunch on you and things like that. But you infiltrate, you're out in the jungle, and every now and then you'll come across like a base or something like that, and you have to infiltrate the base and kind of sneak around and hide in lockers and hide under tables or hide in the shadows and things. It's just it gets to be really addictive to try to get through these places without getting detected, and inevitably you will get detected and have to do a fight and everything. But I don't know. It's always fun to challenge yourself and try not to get discovered while you're running through these bases. What else in the gameplay department? Towards the end of the game, some of the combat got a little annoying, like the close quarters combat, the melee combat in the game, and especially since the final boss battle relies on you getting that. I always felt like I was facing the wrong way, or I was just a little bit off and missing, and it needs like a lock on or something. I don't know how that would work in this game. It probably wouldn't. But whenever I was forced to melee, it was just an annoying experience. And the final boss battle, it took me 2 tries because I ran out of time, because it is on a timer. The final boss is really good at physical fighting, so it just got kind of annoying to have to fight that person, and then them always being better than you, and you're on this timer and you only have 10 minutes, and that seems like a lot of time, but it really isn't in the way that this fight is structured. And I don't want to ruin it for anybody, because it is one of the best. I mean, it was really annoying, but at the same time, it was so good. I don't know. It's hard. Like Snake, I have a lot of conflicting emotions about that final boss battle, but it was really good. The music, that opening song is amazing. I love that opening song. I love how it feels like a James Bond movie, and even throughout the game, a lot of the musical cues really feel like a James Bond movie, because it's set in the 60s, so it kind of keeps that vibe. The voice acting is awesome. I really like. It's gonna be weird when I get to the older or the newer games and Kiefer Sutherland is voicing Snake, because you do get really used to David Hayter doing the voice of Snake, so it's gonna be kind of weird when I get there, but we're not there yet. But I love the voice acting. I love how zany the story gets, and you can use your little radio that Snake has to call people and talk to them and have these really weird conversations that have nothing to do with the game, but are just a blast to sit and listen to. You could really spend 20 or 30 hours. I don't know if it would add that much to the game, calling people and just bullshitting with them about nothing. The girl that saves your game is often talking about movies, and she'll talk about Godzilla or From Russia with Love and things like that. So it's just fun to sit and listen to that stuff, and that's kind of one of the hallmarks of the series, is not only ridiculous cutscenes, but just the sheer amount of extra stuff that you could just gloss over and not see if you don't call people all the time. Graphically, I can't speak for the HD version. I don't know how that looks. I can't speak for the 3DS version. But the PlayStation 2 version, I forgot how good the PlayStation 2 really is. The graphics still hold up amazingly well. Sure, they look a bit dated by today's standards, of course, but going back and playing a PlayStation 1 game, unless it's a 2D sprite-based game, I always feel like it doesn't look that good, if it's a 3D based game. But on the PlayStation 2, man, games still look really good. And, Final Fantasy X HD, I'm assuming the Metal Gear HD, they did a lot of HDs of the PlayStation 2 games, and they still look really amazing. But just to go back and play it on the old PlayStation 2, it's 14 years old now. It's amazing how good it still really looks, and I really, really enjoyed my time with Metal Gear Solid 3. So much so that it's a serious contender for Game of the Year. Just an outstanding game. This one is held up as one of the best in the series, because I think everything that came after that, I know Metal Gear Solid 4 got a lot of crap for being very cutscene heavy. I guess some of those cutscenes could go on for 2 hours. So we're getting into Xenosaga territory there. But this, I guess, was the last one that had just bash myself in the nose with this. The last one that had the really good balance between gameplay and storyline, and before the storyline really started to take over like crazy. But I absolutely loved Snake Eater. I don't know what my problem was back in the day, but I am planning. I don't know if I'm going to marathon all the Metal Gears, because these games can get a little frustrating for me. Stealth games in general can. So what I'm going to do is once Portable Ops gets here, I'm going to go with that. And then if I'm still feeling the itch after Portable Ops, then I'm going to go right to Peace Walker, and then to 4, and then to Ground Zeroes. Then I'll go get Phantom Pain, and then I'll play Revengeance. So we'll just keep on going through the series. And who knows, maybe I'll finally get up the gumption to go back and try this again. This is the original Metal Gear on the NES. And, you know, I've always wanted to give this the real serious shot, but maybe I'll do that after all the other Metal Gears. I don't know. So anyway, guys, that is it for Metal Gear Solid 3. If you have not dipped your toes in the Metal Gear series yet, I highly recommend them, because they just worm their way into your brains, and like the outrageous storylines and just the excellent gameplay. It really just there's a reason why this series is so revered. And I can't wait to see what happens next going forward. So anyway, guys, that is it for Metal Gear Solid 3. Fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic game. Makes me really sad that Kojima is no longer with Konami, and we're not going to see, even though Konami is kind of, you know, shooting itself in the foot, we're not going to see any more Metal Gear game, any real Metal Gear games. Kojima might go off and, you know, do like a spiritual successor, but it's not going to be the same characters. It's not going to be the same world, and that's very sad. There's a finite number of Metal Gears now. That's a weird and sad thing. So anyway, guys, that is it for this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.